Imagine a time of plenty, or perhaps more accurately, a time of hope. That's probably a better way to think of it. I'm in a curious place right now. I saw a little farm road as I was driving, and I had my camera, and I decided to park and take a little hike up the road. And the road quickly petered out by the edge of a little orchard, or once orchard, a little terrace, by a beautiful waterfall. I'm sure that video will have a video of its own, the waterfall video. Very just spectacular. And I paused it, stayed at the waterfall for a while and continued my way up. And the little farm road is completely overgrown, barely more than a leveled out track, passing fields, terraces, orchards, all overgrown. Then I entered a bamboo grove and wound my way up a small trail through the bamboo grove where I imagine the farmers once farmed takenoko, or bamboo shoots. Once I left the bamboo grove, I found the trail continuing along the ridge of the hill. That's where I am now. And where I'm standing right now, there are steep hillsides on either side. I'm at the very edge of the saddleback here. And I can hear water falling on both sides. I can actually see bits of the waterfall on this side. This is not the waterfall I visited. And I can hear the waterfall that I filmed earlier over there. And behind me, let me just turn up a little bit, you can see an old fruit tree. I suspect it's an orange tree, perhaps. There are more all around. If you kind of I'll do a quick pan around here, and you can kind of see that there are trees here. But I'm basically squatting underneath a canopy of vines that have grown over these trees. These trees certainly are not being harvested anymore, and are likely producing very little. And as I was hunkering down, following this trail through this canopy of vines under the orange trees, I was trying to imagine what it must have been like 40, 50, I don't know, 80 years ago, when the farmers in this area, I'm in near a small mountain village in central Japan, what it must have been like for them at the time when this farm was producing, when the men set out to come up into this dense forest and clear the land and terrace it off, build a stone wall. There's a stone wall, you can just barely see it right over here. I wonder if you can see it. There's a stone wall right where my finger is pointed, right there. The men would come up here and build these stone walls and terrace off the land. And they would do it in such a way, we think about what's happening in many parts of the world in terms of loss of natural habitat due to farming, aggressive agriculture. What happened here in Japan during those times was mild in comparison. Farmers would section off small portions of canyons and fields around their homes and terrace those off and use those for agricultural production. It was very mild in comparison to the industrial agriculture that's occurring now in the world. So, let me bring you back to that moment, 50, 60 years ago, when farmers in these small villages were terracing off these lands and producing vegetables and fruit and harvesting bamboo shoots and utilizing the water for growing wasabi, fish agriculture, making little pools out of stone terraces for the fish. It must have been an interesting, maybe a wonderful time. Now remember, at that time, Japan was recovering from the war. It was a devastating nation. People were poor everywhere. Yet, that must have been a very good feeling to have these hills around me, producing, maybe not a bounty, but producing enough. It's a key word there, enough. Enough to get by. The concept of enough is something that still drives the life, or shapes the life, or guides the life of many older Japanese, such as my in-laws. They could care less for fancy cars or big bank accounts. They simply want enough, and they want to be a part of the community, and they want to be accepted and contributing members. I know I'm talking rather idealistically here, but truly that is the way a lot of these older Japanese are. It's really a sad thing that this is largely being lost now with the younger generation. When this area around me was a producing farmland, I suspect that this principle of enough was was the guiding principle in the village. Sure, it wasn't perfect, and there were problems, and there were people who were unhappy, but for the most part, I think that it's a pretty good way of life, and a sustainable way of life, a way of life that gave back nearly as much as it took, I think, from the environment. And as I walk through the forest now, empty, just the signs of people here and there, little walls here and there, a few trees that were planted by some dead farmer that's been gone for decades perhaps. And I think that all the contemporary Japanese I know are bustling and working themselves to death in this city just kilometers away from here. And I think of the contrast, and I wonder if that's really progress, if that's really change. Sure, a lot of people are living longer. Quality of life could be arguably said to be better. I don't know about that. I think that there was something good in these days, represented by what I'm seeing here around me. And I know that I'm I'm getting into the dangerous territory of forgetting about the difficulties that were faced in old Japan. But in many ways, I'm heartened by what I see, and saddened at the same time, because it seems to be forgotten and lost. Well, I can hear the clacking sounds in the bamboo forest. This bamboo forest behind me is particularly loud. It's making a lot of noise, making me think about tengu and oni and kappa and the like. And the light is starting to fade. So I think I'll sign off for now. I wanted to share these thoughts with you. I hope you've enjoyed hearing a little bit about the ideas that were crossing my mind as I wandered through this forest. Take care for now. Bye-bye.